Hello, wonderful Thompson Tigers. It's Mrs. Seth again. So, we had a few suggestions on this particular question. Um, a lot of us actually recommended me to do a video of this particular problem. So, on the quiz, we had a similar question. The only thing that changed were the numbers as well as the characters. Okay. So let's go ahead and read it. Mr. Argueta has a collection of comic books. He currently has 2,000 comic books. His friend, Mr. Perez, has one-tenth the number of comic books that Mr. Argueta does. Mr. Rendon has one-tenth the number of comic books that Mr. Perez has. How many comic books does Mr. Rendon have? Okay, well, we have three characters here. The first one is Mr. Argueta. So let me go ahead and highlight Mr. Argueta. And he currently has 2,000 comic books. So let me write down my first character, which is Mr. Argueta. Mr. A. That is not pretty. Okay, let's try it again. Mr. A. He has 2,000. And then his friend, Mr. Perez, so another character, Mr. P, our second character, he has one-tenth the number, so one-tenth of the number of comics Mr. Argueta has. And Mr. Argueta has 2,000 comic books. Okay, so since this is a fraction, or it could be seen as a division, 1 divided by 10, well, I'm going to turn this into a fraction or a division as well. 2,000 divided by 1 is still 2,000. So it still works even without the division, or divided by 1 symbol. Okay, and of, instead of, we just multiply. Okay, so we're going to multiply straight across the numerator times the numerator, then denominator times denominator. So 1 times 1 times 2,000 is 2,000. And then 10, the denominator 10 times 1 is 10. Okay, now this is still a division symbol. So we are going to divide. So I'm going to start with the denominator first. I'm going to take, this is very easy. I'm going to take 1 0 away on the bottom. So I'm going to take away 1 0 on the top. And I'm left with 200 divided by 1. Right? But 200 or anything divided by 1 will still be anything. So 200 divided by 1 is still 200. So Mr. P or Mr. Perez has 200 comic books. Now let's go to Mr. Rendon. So I'm going to put Mr. R. Okay. He has one-tenth of the number of comics Mr. Perez has. So Mr. Perez, we found out he had 200. So we're going to put 200. Okay. And remember, one-tenth means it's getting smaller. And as we see here, one-tenth of 2,000 is 200. So it did get smaller. And we're just trying to make this into a fraction to match our fraction here, which is one-tenth. Same thing, 200 divided by 1 is still going to be 200. And then now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 200 is 200. 10 times 1 is 10. Now 200 divided by 10, well, this is easy. So I'm just going to take, I only see 1 0 on the bottom. Cross that out. So I'm only going to take out 1 0 on top. So now I have 20 divided by 1, or 20 out of 1. And anything divided by 1 is anything. So 20 divided by 1 is 20. So our answer for this question is D, because we're looking for Mr. Rendon. And Mr. Rendon has 20. 20, Mr. R. Okay, so now let's go ahead and give it a try. Here is question 8.1. Okay, so I'm going to leave the strategy up here and I'm going to leave this question for you. Go ahead and pause the video. Try this on your own. Let me change this into 70,000. Remember, 1/10, it just means it's getting smaller. Okay. All right. So if you have paused the video, your answer should have been 7. Oops, not there. 700. Because 70,000 is Miss or Andreas. And then Rachel, she has 1/10 of Andreas, which is 70,000. We just divide. And here we multiply. 1 times 70,000 is still 70,000. 10 times 1 is 10. And we have 1 0 on the bottom. So we take out 1 0 on the top. And we're left with 7,000. And now we have Nathan. Nathan has 1/10 of Rachel, which we now know Rachel has 70,000. Oops. So we just put a division and then we multiply this. 1 times 7,000 is 7,000. 10 times 1 is 10. Then cross the zeros. So now we know Nathan has 700. Alrighty. And that is how you solve this problem. Thank you for watching. See you next time.